Hello, I am back again. It's been over a week. I almost ran out of ideas, but I've been playing a couple of games. Could you call them mindless? Maybe, for some people. But for me, they were what I'd like to consider a cold brew dopamine. They're in season right now, and you can probably do them a little guiltily during the colder months. But I'm just gonna start talking. Um, what did I get into? I got into Marvel Rivals. Got into that closed beta pretty early on. I have 20 hours in it. Current closed beta that is now actually closed. I've got footage here thanks to my buddy over there, Steve Portal, who I streamed the game with for a single day, and we got a pentakill from a Scarlet Witch ult. So I'm gonna leave description. I'm not leaving a description of him, but I'm definitely leaving his info for his stream and his YouTube on the description of this video. So this is one of those live service games that will probably end up coming out as free to play. Slated release date next year, 2025. Nothing set in stone in terms of dates, but let's talk about it. So the first thing I'm gonna mention is I still cannot stand battle passes. I hate battle passes in the way that they're implemented nowadays, where they're limited time events and they expect people to cough up cash for content that they're gonna lose if you don't do it in time, and creates this weird artificial FOMO within a game that really, I mean, it should just be the whole fact that you're not playing the game that should be the FOMO, not the battle pass. And I mean, this game, even in the closed beta, it's got its own battle pass already, where it had a closed beta exclusive skin you could unlock permanently, but you had to get to level 30, so I was doing that stuff. That was very monotonous. Playing the game itself is not monotonous. The game itself is actually really fun. It is very fun. The characters, most of them, are quite distinct from one another. You can say that they're sort of mishmashes of characters that already exist in something like an Overwatch, or maybe even Paladins if you played that. I didn't play it. Why'd I bring that up? I didn't play it. But you can say like characters in this game, Marvel Rivals, are mishmashes of other toolkits from things like Overwatch just into one character. But it never feels like it's been done in a way that is almost shoehorned in. It doesn't feel forced. Like when Hulk comes out as the diva of the game but does not have diva ult, it makes sense, because the person who has diva ult is the quite chaotically magically powered Scarlet Witch, who is basically like Moira if she was a DPS. And you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Canonically, Scarlet Witch would be pretty fucking busted, and she would be very strong, but glass cannon, because she's just a little person compared to the Hulk, who is the diva of this game, but doesn't blow up like Diva. Hulk doesn't blow up. And for me, 6v6 in this game, and in the way it was in Overwatch, always feels more ideal to me, because then the general makeup of team comps is sort of like in a very standardized, equal sort of fashion, that no matter what sort of synergies you go with, as long as you have 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 supports, then your team for the most part will be okay. There are different things you can do in this game as well. You could, experiment with like, maybe 3 DPS, 2 healers, 1 tank, or 3 DPS, 2 tanks, 1 healer. You could do that, but it would have to depend on the synergies between each of the characters, which is something else that's built into the game that incentivizes people to just get on and try to fill for teams. Because in most games like this, you're left with a lot of decision paralysis, especially if you're a person who just likes to kind of like fill in for whatever sort of role needs to get done, or filled in for a team on a game like this. Like going into a League of Legends queue, you pick Phil, and it's like whatever the game gives you, that's what you're gonna play, and you're perfectly fine with that. This game, not only does it have that option for you, but it also makes it a little easier to sort of select what you would want to play, because then you have the choice of, well, if this person is playing this character and we're missing this sort of role, there is a character I can pick here that'll synergize with the character my teammate picked. And so that'll buff not just yourself, but it'll most likely buff your teammate as well in most cases. In some cases, it's mostly one-sided, like Magneto gets an extra ability, whereas Scarlet Witch is just, she's basically there as the fodder for him to get his special ability. But that special ability on Magneto, it's worth it to get if you want to synergize with Scarlet Witch. I think that's probably one of his strongest abilities. It's just having that one. Having that team up with his daughter is pretty busted. And I'd say that while it's still in its early phases, this game currently, the destructible environments, they have a lot of potential. They have a lot of potential to sort of queue up different strategies or improvise on the spot. Like if something has destructibility in it within the environment, you can maybe work around it or work it to your advantage so that your opponents have no clue what the hell you're gonna do next. There's slight sprinkles of that currently in the game. Unfortunately, environments, they end up respawning anyway, so it's almost like a non-issue anyway. But I'd say there were certain cases where getting rid of a certain platform or something like that, or a walking bridge, taking that down while enemies were on it, helped immensely so that you could catch them off guard. You know, if they were trying to keep the high ground on you or try and stay above your head, you can shoot stuff down like that, or like a chandelier that somebody lands on and they come crashing down, and it's like, well, you ain't got safe cover anymore. You're probably gonna die unless your team's with you, in which case nobody fucking dies, because that's a big issue right now. Is if you don't have the right sort of chemistry with your teammates, enemies on the other team might sometimes feel like they never get hurt and they'll never die either. You heard the brain farted. And that's the one thing, is that currently the game is in this state where it's usually pretty one-sided between each game. Thankfully, I had an above average win rate, I guess, at least for normal matches. But a lot of the times, if your team just doesn't work well together, or if the other team is just really fucking good working together, or if they have like the right characters that they're picking against your team, you'll get completely washed in some games. More often than not, I would find myself either on the winning side after just 5 minutes, or on the losing side just after 8 minutes, you know? And during the times where it was actually pretty close, it's pretty close. If there's one thing I would hope for, is that monetization is mostly just towards the prospect of skins for a lot of these Marvel characters, both premium and in-game currency that you can get just by playing the game. And I hope they go the same route with characters, where you can just play the game a bunch and then that'll help you unlock characters. Or I don't know if they're doing that, or if they're just gonna let you have all of them off the bat. But in either case, all the skins, man, there are so many different ideas they can have for skins in this game that would make them a ton of money, and then would not have to have them be so predatory as a live service. So fingers crossing that all you Marvel whales, all you Marvel fanboys out there can fund this game for the rest of us free-to-play players. That's assuming that the game's coming out free-to-play. And then for like sort of I'd call it like neutral opinions. Right now, there's not too much consideration in place in terms of character balance, so that, you know, there are some cases where characters can feel absolutely outmatched. I know for one thing, most people think Hulk is kind of ass, but I mean, for me, in some cases, he was pretty good. But in most cases, people thought that he was kind of ass, and then there were other characters that just feel unstoppable with the right circumstances. Somebody like a Hela, or again, Scarlet Witch. Iron Man, I think he was pretty good, but I don't think he was like that busted. There were a couple of other ones. Some of the tanks, I think, maybe like a Magneto. At least my Magneto was Magnus. My Magnus was kind of nasty. I don't know what to tell y'all. You're not gonna be able to see it in the gameplay because this is Steve's gameplay. This is Steve's shit. He didn't play Magneto. I played Magneto, but my guy was kind of nasty, you know, kind of nasty. But we'll just have to wait and see what they do with character balance. I think for right now, it's a bit like in the middle, and it's still pretty early to decide on how I feel about the overall balance in the game. But I had to bring it up because some people already have very early impressions on a game that's not coming out for at least another year. So I figured I'd just throw that out there. Like, don't worry too much about it. Just about anybody that you play will be pretty fun, as long as you can, you know, pick them up and learn them. Otherwise, in some cases, like Spider-Man is a little tricky to learn. He's a little tricky to learn, but he is fun. He's a fun fucking character to play, but he's a little all over the place. He's kind of wild. It almost feels like he shouldn't be in this game. This game probably has to be one of the most derivative releases we know of already, coming in 2025. Because, I mean, in essence, it's a 2016 multiplayer game that's being recoded and re-released 9 years after the fact. But the thing is, it doesn't change the fact that that 2016 game that we all played, it won a bunch of Game of the Year awards, and it was a strictly multiplayer game, highly regarded during its time, got a sequel. The sequel might have fumbled the ball, but I don't think any of us have forgotten how we felt on the release of that Overwatch. Like, goodness gracious. It spawned so many clones, so many trend chasers within the industry, and I would say in this case, I mean, sure, it's copying Overwatch 1 straight. Just, it's not even hiding the fact that it's doing that. But it's got the right fun factor to it. It feels great to play. Like, movement is not delayed or fumbly or stuttery, and like there's not really that many dropped inputs really. There's just I would say there's certain attack animations that are hard to cancel out of, so just bear that in mind, but that's on a character-to-character basis. I would say overall, the game is starting off on the right foot. For me, fuck battle passes anyway. It's in here. It's gonna stay in there. I don't fucking like it. I do not like the fact that the battle pass is in here. I don't like that. And also, most people complained about it in the last beta, alpha beta, whatever, that they let people stream last time, with all that weird controversy on the wording of was that the EULA, I think? One of the other things that people complained about that I still think is a pretty contentious point that I would agree with is that there's still quite a lot of visual clutter in this game, with a lot of spell slinging, projectiles being thrown out, AoE spells, fucking everything. The lighting, the textures on everything. Some characters kind of blend into certain environments, and then other times you're like trying to pay attention to where the hell a person went, and fucking you can't tell the difference between them and the shadow. And I'd say who was it that brought the most amount of visual clutter this time? I'd say Groot has a lot of visual clutter, funny enough, even though he just puts up walls. But he's a giant target, and those walls are fucking giant too. So he definitely adds to this whole thing. Iron Man and Storm, those guys have a lot of visual clutter. Especially Storm with her ult, and Iron Man with just about everything he does. It's just a bunch of beams and fucking projectiles and explosions being thrown out everywhere. It's a little bit crazy. It's still a little crazy. Hopefully they give us an option to just reduce visual effects at this point, like just something to help with readability on the map, because I can imagine this is also not going to be an easy game to watch either in terms of like esports. Very similarly to what happened with Overwatch, but let's see if they can work it out. I'm hopeful. That was my 20 hours with that. But now we're gonna talk about this game. This is another flavor of the month that this is probably the one that I can see myself guilty pleasuring during the colder months as we wait for the inevitable sequel that's coming out, fucking Path of Exile. Did y'all see that fucking y'all see that new season update? Yeah, that's what brought me back in. I would always think about wanting to get back into Path of Exile for however many hours I put in initially back in the day. to, you know, all the times that I've stopped and started again, stopped and started, set up my own account on Xbox, started a character there, deleted characters, went back to old characters, got completely lost on where the fuck I was and what sort of build I was doing. So I said, fuck it, clean slate, we're gonna do this right now on PC. I have something written out here that's more like an actual, like a normal script, and I think that's what I'm gonna be looking at right now. I think that's what I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna look at this real basic looking script because it's in fucking Notepad. Alright, and you're gonna have to deal with my mouse clicking and shit, you know. So let's read it. So far, this is the furthest I've ever gotten in Path of Exile. I always tried jumping into it and play with the new characters since the content throughout the original campaign, it's always getting updated. Brand new stuff getting added with every single season. What are they called? The leagues, the different leagues that they added into the game that are now there practically permanently. I always ended up falling off of it for many different reasons, whether it's just time commitment or the general feeling I got with my build at that point in time, or, you know, silly things like that. But with this new update season, I've been able to keep up with the current character I have. They are level 41 right now. This is the first time I've ever gained access to an Ascendancy class. At least I think that's what they're called. Like the Ascendancy tree, you know? Right now I'm playing a Marauder with the Juggernaut Ascendancy. I'll get more into the build or whatever in just a bit. Because so far I just want to say, after the amount of time I've put into this game as of recently, it's great to play. It's great to play. I thought the same thing back then, but I felt a bit like a poser saying that back in the day. Now I feel like I can more confidently say, even though I'm not done with it yet, and I have to kind of actually jump back in. It's been over like 2 days since I've been on, and now my town is probably just shut down. I've got nothing in the treasury, so ain't nobody working right now. I gotta get back on that. But for right now, I find this game to be great. It's great for both shutting your brain off while you're playing and killing countless mobs, but it's also good at making you shit your bricks when certain enemy spawns, like a lot of the unique or more rare enemy spawns, and as well as bosses, they show up. And, you know, I think it's mostly due to my build currently, dealing like a good 40 to 50% of my health after every hit they land on me. It gets a bit hectic. Like, without me realizing it at times, I'll just be fucking dead. Without even being able to pop a potion. When you pop the po, you can never go wrong. You could go wrong because I think he dated his, like, underage cut. Anyway, the town management and the expansion side game in this is basically the reason why I got hooked and stayed on this game. That's the main driving force of me being on this, as well as the different systems that got updated. And I'm playing a melee character. I'll be brief with my description of my build. I'm using a two-handed mace. I'm going for bleeding ailments, and I just have a bunch of armor. I don't have any energy shield going on right now. I'm trying to get as much armor as I can, as much bleed off, and as much slamming with a two-handed mace as I possibly can. So it's a lot of stunning as well, bleeding, trying to be fully armored up, and a little bit of buffing here and there, because I think you definitely need to be buffed a little bit in this game. But either way, with the side game that's in here, the town management one, King's March, it's helped to keep me motivated to always get on for a few hours a day, aside from the last couple of days, to things like adding more value into my treasury, expanding the facilities you gain access to, hiring the new workers, firing them too, and just getting involved in the expansion of the town through the power of delegation. That was a great moment, wasn't it? That was a great moment in that presentation. He kept harping on that word delegation. Not harping on it. He kept exemplifying that word. Very strong usage of the word delegation. Yeah. But just to capitalize, just to formulate my main point, I'm playing this game without looking up character builds. I know most people will say when you're getting into this for the first time, you look up a character build. I've heard you just do that, you play through the end of the game, max level, complete the game, and then you start a brand new character after that. Well, here's the thing. For me, when you have to do things like that in a game like this, I feel like it kind of ruins what I like most about games in just about all aspects, which is the ability to explore and learn of the game's systems and mechanics myself as I progress through. Just sort of tutorializing everything for myself, you know? Like, I don't like things being spelled out for me in that sort of way. Unless I'm completely fucking lost, like the Hollow Body demo. Like, that fucking... I don't know how the hell you get that goddamn safe combination. I don't know how you do that. I still don't know, and nobody's told me. Fucking tell me how the hell you get the fucking safe combination code in the Hollow Body demo. Please. Please. But, so this is me with no guides, none of that. Level 41 currently. Marauder with the Juggernaut Ascendancy, two-handed mace that focusing on slams with bleed and stunning. Yeah, good time, great time actually. I think if I had to pick between the two of the games, I'd probably just be playing much more Path of Exile. Like, assuming that both of them were fully out. Path of Exile has been out since like 2013, right? Somewhere around there, 2013. It's been around for a while, and this is probably the most I've played of it since release. I'm easily gonna cap to 100 hours and probably break that anyway. Marvel Rivals, that beta test lasted for, was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks, and in those 20 hours I was able to get my battle pass to level 30 to get the Cyan Venom skin that they say is from Marvel Rivals, but we know due to legal licensing they can't say it's from Marvel 2 or even 90s Venom, so take it as you will. I'm not too bothered or offended by that. It's just, it is what it is. Marvel vs. Capcom is a very weird fucking series with weird licensing things going on, and you know, and I guess the Cyan Venom is it's just an Easter egg now in Marvel 2. Whenever that comes out, God, I need that to come out, even more so than Marvel Rivals. Fucking Marvel 2 has all of my Marvel characters in there. It's got all of them. They don't have all of them yet in Marvel Rivals, but they got them in Marvel 2. And I think that's where I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave this shilling the fuck out of Marvel 2, because you know what? Fuck, all three of these games have been good to me. They've been good to me in my time in gaming. Okay. Am I gonna cut out some of this? Probably. There's a lot of stuff that I said at the start that really shouldn't be in a video, so I'm gonna look to edit this. I'm gonna make sure I don't sound like complete ass, not like the last time I was playing fucking Nocturne on the channel, but there's still more of that coming anyway. I'm pretty sure on the stream where I fought Matador in Nocturne on hard, I switched my mic to be the USB one that I use for most of my videos, especially the ones that I script, which this is very lightly scripted. It was notes, very similar to the Elden Ring and Zenless Zone Zero video, so hopefully it's not too rambly. Definitely not as long as that. Ooh, jeez, that was bad. That was bad. That shit didn't get any views. That shit got no views. But yeah, hopefully I'll cut this down a little bit, because I don't want you guys to miss it.